But guys, as we trudge on into this podcast, trying to stay awake as late as we can because we did 4 hours of a live stream, and now we are almost done with this podcast. It's 1:15 in the morning as we are recording this, so just so you guys know what we're going through to give you this draft coverage.
That's why these last two segments suck.
Well, we're moving on into the Green Bay Packers. This is the last team we're going to look at before we kind of do a fun little ending segment of our best and worst.
Trash teams.
Yes, and last year it was fun trashing the Bengals. We trashed for the Billy Price one. I know we trashed the Lions last year, and then the Steelers were the big three.
I don't think I trashed the Bengals. I
trashed the Lions big time for taking Ragnow in the first round because I thought they didn't need an offensive tackle. But let's move on into the Packers. They had 2 picks. Number 12, they take Rashan Gary, the defensive end out of Michigan that had some mixed reviews. Some people loved him. Some people didn't love him. Apparently, he said that he did not fit into the scheme at Michigan. That's why he didn't have the production that he had. And then also they take at 21 via a trade Dave's boy, Darnell Savage, the safety out of Maryland. And before you guys kind of give me what you think of the Packers and their picks kind of doubling down on defense instead of giving Aaron Rodgers some weapons to work with, Sean, because I know you have it written down, what was the trade for Darnell Savage? What did they give up to get him with that 21st overall pick?
Yeah, with the 12th pick, they took Rashan Gary. That was their own pick at number 12. And then at 21, they traded with the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks traded the 21st pick, and the Green Bay Packers gave Seattle the 30th pick, the 114 pick, and the 118 pick to take the safety out of Maryland, Darnell Savage.
So it's a that's a 4th and a 5th? Is that what that is, if my math is correct?
Your guess is as good as mine.
So
comp picks also throw that off because third round is when comp picks come in. So you actually have to look at the NFL draft board.
The question I will ask you guys is, was it the right choice for the Packers to double down on defense and not give Aaron Rodgers some weapons to work with?
I think it was. I think that you have somebody who basically can make the best out of any offensive situation. Like if Aaron Rodgers can't get something out of random wide receivers, and a lot of these guys, year 2, they'll progress a decent bit, so I'm not super worried. It's the defensive end that need help, because if you can't stay in games defensively, Aaron Rodgers is playing from behind, and then that's when he's taking shots. That's when he's holding the ball longer because he needs deeper pass. Like, it's just, it all starts with that defense for Aaron Rodgers. So going double defense here, I don't necessarily agree with the Gary pick, but I do think that he at least nailed Savage.
Yeah, I think, and just to clarify, 2 4th-round picks. Okay. Seattle got the 12th pick of the 4th round and the 16th pick of the 4th round. But I agree with Dave here. Obviously, they made the big additions in free agency were both Smith, Za'Darius, and Preston, and both defensive guys. And I think it makes sense to go double defense here because, yes, you need Aaron Rodgers to have help, but Aaron Rodgers is also fucking Aaron Rodgers, man. Like, that guy's going to throw touchdown passes when he's healthy. He's a stud. And you're also bringing in Matt LaFleur, who is going to try to get these guys who might not be studs like Jordy Nelson at his peak or Randall Cobb at his peak, but they are guys that can probably at least separate enough to where Aaron Rodgers can throw it into enough of a window. I mean, Jimmy Graham is a former Pro Bowler, so I mean he's not a scrub. Mercedes Lewis is a former former first-round pick, and yes, he is very old, but I think he could still be productive in some ways. And also, you still have this is probably the best back he's had in a very long time, in Aaron Jones. So I think the biggest question mark for me would just be, I'm not a huge fan of the Gary pick as well. I think you also probably could have looked offensive line as well, just to make sure you protect them, because I know it's a decent line, but you also need to add some youth to that line. I think that was probably the biggest question mark. Is Rodgers is going to be there for 4 more years, but are the guys that like Bulaga is even there anymore? But I know they have some old guy in their line still. Is he still going to be around there for a long time? And like, what's the contingency plan for him? So I look at that, and that would be the biggest question mark for me. But you look at the safeties, and the biggest thing is I love that Darnell Savage pick, because you look at who Amos played with last year in Eddie Jackson, a guy who could be a free ranger, a guy who's super athletic, super quick. I think Darnell Savage can develop into that kind of center field safety where Amos can play up in the box and run stuff, because I don't think they have great middle linebackers. I don't think they have the middle linebackers like the Bears did last year in Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan. I don't think they had those level of guys.
They've got Blake Martinez and Oren Burks is their inside linebacker.
Not the levels of Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith. Blake's fine. But I think having Amos is just going to help those guys even more, especially in the run game. And that's where Savage can help out playing that center field, attacking balls, because they already have two good cornerbacks that they picked last year. Jair Alexander's one of them, and Josh Jackson's the other one from Iowa.
And the year before that, they got Kevin King.
Yeah, and Kevin King as well. So, I mean, their corners are stacked. And Kevin King out of Washington, I loved him as well. So, I mean, you look at that secondary is going to be great. And you look at Gary, and Gary just needs to develop more. And the biggest question mark that I had is I really like the ends and the nose that they have already in Green Bay, and Mike Daniels and Kenny Clark. I think those guys are studs. So I think, at least looking at it, I really love Montez Sweat. I'm glad the Packers didn't take him because I'd fucking hate to see that guy twice a year. Or Brian Burns as well. Those two guys were the guys that I really liked over Rashan Gary. Gary, to me, he's not if you are playing in Michigan, and Michigan was a fantastic defense last year, and you're not putting up that great production, that's a huge question mark for me. And yes, he has that speed, and yes, he has a very unique body, and he has great agility and great tests, and he's very quick off the ball. But in the end, you need to be able to put that on the field, and it's not like college players get better in the NFL. So that's a big question mark for me: is will he be able to be better, and will being in Green Bay, which maybe this is the right system for him, really help him out? Will playing in a Mike Pettin defense be the true key to unlock Rashan Gary? I don't really know, but I do like the pick of Darnell Savage, and I think trading up was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with...
Because Savage wasn't going to be available at 30, so I think that's smart. I really like him as a safety.
And the thing I kind of think of is, first off, if you look at the Green Bay draft history, which probably should have looked at when I was doing my mocks, because I'll be honest, every single mock I had, I was not thinking defense for the Packers. I was thinking tight end at 12, wide receiver at 30. Tight end at 12, wide receiver at 30. And when you think about it...
I'm thinking about it.
When you look at their first picks...
I'm looking at them.
Since 2012, you've got Jair Alexander last year. You've got, obviously, Savage and Gary this year. Kenny Clark in 2016. Demarius Randall, I know he's not on the team anymore, but he was drafted in 2015. HaHa Clinton Dix in 2014. You've got Donta Jones in 13, and then Nick Perry in 2020. That's ever since the last offensive guy they took in the first round.
Yeah.
Derek Sherrod, a tackle.
So we should have known.
At 32.
We should have known.
Nice.
Like, it's been defense since 2012.
And that's similar to what the Patriots do year in, year out. Like, last year was the first year they took two first offensive players. I was shocked that they took two offensive players last year. Because when you have a great quarterback, you can really go more bargain bin on these guys. Because if they get enough separation, you could turn a quarterback into a wide receiver.
And only one wide receiver went in the first round of this draft.
Yeah.
So, you still have a lot of good talent available at the wide receiver position that you can get in the second, third, and... Probably fourth round is when it gets real thin, but you just trade away your fourth round.
And I think Fant would be a reach at 12, and Hawkinson wasn't available. And Fant wasn't there at 21. So, and that's where they traded up to, and he went the pick before it. So I think in the end it was a draft that made sense, because you're planning on Matt LaFleur to scheme these guys open, and if they're open by 3 yards, Aaron Rodgers is going to fit it in, because Aaron Rodgers is probably the most talented quarterback. Mahomes is going for that throne, but I'd still say Rodgers when he's fully healthy. Yeah. He's not the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom Brady is. Right. But he's
gifted
one of the most
with
talented.
Talent.
Yeah. I think that when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, there's no need to put that much stock into offensive players. And it's weird now seeing the Patriots have taken 3 straight offensive players in the first round. It might even be 4. I can't even remember the last time we had a first round pick before Isaiah Wynn and Sony Michel. But even then, the year before, they traded the first round pick for Brandon Cook. So now later on, they're looking offense. But right now, you need to help Aaron Rodgers. The reason why he hasn't been going deep into the playoffs is because that defense has been able to hold up. So I think it makes sense going defense twice. I just don't like Rashan Gary.
Yeah. Well, the last first round pick, it was 2015, was Malcolm Brown.
Yeah.
Was the last defensive pick
and then
that the Patriots took.
2014, I think, was double. Was that the double year pick? Or
nope.
Was that okay?
That was 2012. You're thinking about.
Okay, that was Chandler and
Hightower.
Yeah, Chandler and Hightower.
2014 was the Garoppolo draft. Who went before him? Defensive tackle.
Oh, the dude who had I know him. He went to Florida.
Yep.
I can't remember his name. He had a heart injuries, or he had injuries that held him back.
Dominic Easley.
Yeah, Dominic Easley.
But like for me, the thing that I look at is
Cool.
and the question that I'll ask is, with this first round, are we surprised only Marquise Brown and N'Keal Harry went in the first round? Because, like, if I look at just the last mock that we had, it's almost like a second-round pick, Dave. It's 32. He went very last in the first round, but, like...
And 33 is basically a first-rounder.
Yeah,
so.
it's basically a first-rounder without the fifth-year option. But if I look at, like...
Oh, they also have Devontae Adams. I think we keep forgetting about that. Devontae Adams is a fucking stud.
The last like mock that Mark and I did, we both had Metcalf, we both had Brown, we both had A.J. Brown, and then Mark even had N'Keal Harry going. So it's like we all had, and I had Paris Campbell. So we all had like 4 or 5 going in the first, but only 2 went now. Is that because of the Packers? Is that just because our teams thinking they can get wide receivers later and they're not going for them early?
I think it's that one. I think it's just the fact that I think people look at DK Metcalf's combine and are like, holy shit. But you look at the production.
And also look at his
not
abs.
there. Yeah, I mean, you look at his body. It's the
He's
same.
got that T.O., doing crunches in my driveway kind of body going on. It's pretty enticing to us normies out here, but at the same time...
who pounded back the half of a case of Dr. Pepper while sitting on their ass for 4
eating
hours.
2 pizzas? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we didn't finish them.
More than 4 hours.
But, I mean...
I think it's the same situation as corners. It's just there's a good grouping of them, and the elite talent on defense outweighs a bunch of pretty good wide receivers or pretty good corners. And it's just you can get something special, potentially special on the defensive end.
And I think probably the idea too is by year 4, you probably or by year 3, you understand if you have a good corner or a good wide receiver, and then maybe by year 4 or 5 is when you fully start to see the development of a defensive line player. Like, is he adding those moves? Because I mean, we even look right now, Leonard Floyd for the Bears. Like, it took him a while to get going, and there's still flashes that he might be great, but he's still not there yet. And now the question is, will you pick up the fifth year option, or will you sign him after this 5th year?
Absolutely.
So like that's the question. Is like it's tough to see when these guys are going to be fully developed, and I think for wide receivers it's easier to see, and cornerbacks it's easier to see. So there's not that need to go out and get them in the first round. The Patriots did it just because they're not going to be picking for very soon. Like they're not going to be having that guy. So N'Keal Harry was a guy that they really wanted. But you look at Green Bay, they're going to have opportunities to take wide receivers fairly early, and some of the guys that might be higher on their boards. And again, I think we tend to overrate these guys because we love wide receivers because we think so highly of fantasy and you look at Aaron Rodgers and he needs a stud to throw to. But when was the last time Tom Brady had a stud? It was Randy Moss in 2007. And even then, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had that stud. He hasn't had that Hall of Famer he's been throwing to. No,
he's had a guy like Jordy Nelson that he just turned into a really good wide receiver.
Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb was a second rounder. Donald Driver, who's super fucking old. Greg Jennings, who didn't who didn't pan out a ton, or at least age wise, he wasn't there for a super long time. So I at least under Rodgers, I don't know. I probably pissed off Packer fans by saying that.
Yeah, you did.
It's late.
It's okay. I love the comp for Deebo Samuel because he's the guy I think they could target. And on the Ringer, they comp him as shades of thick Randall Cobb, which is just awesome.
Yeah, I think it's just like if a guy can get open, Aaron Rodgers is going to hit him.
Yep.
So I look at what they did, and I think it's a pretty good draft for them. Again, I just don't like Rashan Gary. I just think you could have gotten a player like Montez Sweat, and it would have been a better draft. You could have gotten Brian Burns. It would have been a better draft. But overall, I mean, attacking that side of the ball makes a lot of sense.
But you don't think that...
Attacking those positions, because it takes a while for those guys to kind of develop.
But you don't think that tight end would have been... Like,
they
let's
missed
say at
out
12,
on Hawkinson, and
they
Fant
missed
would have
out
been
on
reach.
Hawkinson,
I
but
agree, Sean.
Could they have taken 12? What would have thought if they took 12... said, hey, we're going to try to trade back with a team, maybe one that wanted a pass rusher, so then they fall back and then fell into like more of a Fant range.
Well, that would have been fine.
Should that have been the target instead of going double defense?
Who's trading up at that point?
That's the thing is you look at
it's a two-part system.
Yeah.
The next team to trade up was the Packers. So I mean, there wasn't teams really looking up to trade up. I'm assuming. So I think that's
because the Steelers had already traded up to 10.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why when you saw the Broncos move back, they clearly were looking tight end since they started looking to trade even with Bush on the board. they started looking to trade once Hawkinson was off the board. So I think that kind of gave them an idea to when you see them going all the way back to 20, they felt pretty confident that Fant was going to be on the board at 20. So I think that kind of is, looking back on it now, is probably the reason why you see the Broncos moving back 20 is because Fant at 12 probably would have been a reach. So I don't think the Packers had the ability to move back because I don't really know what team would want to move back exactly or move up. Maybe, the
Titans,
Redskins.
maybe?
I was thinking the Redskins to maybe jump the Dolphins if they thought they'd take Haskins, but that's really the only thing I could see. But they probably felt confident, the Redskins, that they were going to get him at 15. So ultimately, I think the Packers did the best that they could. Maybe not picking Gary, but again, we haven't seen this guy take an NFL snap. He might be
Once he's healthy again, there's a good chance,
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to ask is, what do you guys think Packers overall for this year? Because, of course, we've got the rest of the draft to kind of go with, but from what we've seen so far with the free agency, adding the older tight ends, the pass rush, and now going back end of the defense with safety and going with the front in a edge rusher, this is a team that opens up their schedule at Chicago day one, Thursday night.
Unfortunate.
Then they're playing Minnesota. And then it's Denver, Philly, and Dallas are the first 5.
Less shitty than last year. That's
Do you
how they're
think
going to
so?
do.
Are they going to be a playoff team this year?
The other team that scares me the most in the NFC North is a Bears fan. I'm not afraid of the Vikings.
Yeah, no.
Definitely not afraid of the Lions.
Until Kirk Cousins makes you pay, like there's nothing to be afraid
dude,
of.
we totally were afraid of Kirk Cousins in both games.
There's nothing to
I
be
thought he
afraid
meant
of.
like until Kirk Cousins makes us pay because $84 million guaranteed.
Or
No,
because we
like-
kicked his ass twice.
Hey, you had a good defense. What can I say?
We handed him his ass
No, I
in
know.
both those games.
Had a good defense.
Who? We did?
Yeah, you did. You had a good defense.
That defense is still there, brother.
And also that last game was kind
We
of...
did lose Amos, though.
Don't get me
Sucks.
started on that last game.
Yeah, so
But we lost him to this team.
I just think that Green Bay is probably the most deadly, and I think you also got to look at it too, where LaFleur's in his first season, so see what he can do with the weapons that he has, and if he can make do, then you want to be giving Pettin the most fire ammo he can have because he doesn't have a player like Aaron Rodgers. Where Pettin too, you look at it and they're like, well, we missed out on Vic Fangio. So we couldn't give Vic Fangio Pettin. You need to do something now so we know that we're going in the right direction. Because Aaron Rodgers, they're on a limited time clock because he might get injured again, and that might be the end of Aaron Rodgers. Or at the end of year 5 of his extension, he might be, see you later. I'm leaving. I'm a smart guy. I want to keep my brain. So I mean, we don't know what's going to be happening with Aaron Rodgers because he doesn't have the luck of Tom Brady of not having major injuries outside of Tom's broken leg. So I think right now it's kind of a time crunch. So get the best defense for Aaron because we know Aaron Rodgers has the talent to be a great quarterback. So
Yeah, I already answered this one. Less shitty than last year.
I didn't know if I forgot if David answered it or not. I think they're going to be, honestly, like you said, the second best team in the North. It pains me to say that
I
because
could
I'm a
see them
Vikings
winning
fan.
it.
What, winning the whole North?
Yeah.
Over the Bears?
Yeah.
You don't think the Bears are going to win the? I think the Bears are the favorite to win the North.
I think they're the favorite, but I think he could step back.
True.
If the Packers go 10-6 and the Bears go 9-7, that
Aaron
would be
Rodgers
shocking.
does Aaron Rodgers things. You can't fucking
Bears go
work around that.
Bears go 10-5.
We're gonna have a safety randomly go missing at the end of a game, and Aaron Rodgers is gonna win a game.
Oh,
Well, you don't have Chris Conte on the.
we don't have Chris Conte. We don't have the bum Adrian Amos anymore. I'm kidding.
No,
He
he's
was
on
a-
the Packers.
He wasn't
Yeah,
a bum.
yeah.
He much better than Chris Conte. And we will hopefully Eddie Jackson will be healthy, picking off balls.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
God, I love him.
But this is where you guys come in. Packer fans, let us know what you guys think down below. What do you think of your first round draft selections, and were they the right choices in this draft?